Jess, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, I'm excited.
How are you feeling? You guys are mid-season at the minute. How are you feeling? How's the body going?
Body's hanging on.
Yeah.
Just had my 33rd birthday and I definitely feel it.
Happy birthday.
So, thank you.
Yeah.
I wasn't searching for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't started the season how we would have liked, which, it's obviously disappointing, but we've still got 7 games left of this season, and hopefully, we go 7-0 as opposed to 0-3 where we are now.
Tell me a little bit about that space, because you guys have had a lot of success in the last couple of years being in the finals. How do you go navigating that time between having the success, probably not starting the season how you want to? How do you guys go navigating that from yourself personally, but then also like you as a team?
To be honest, I'm finding it pretty difficult at the moment, in the sense that I know what we're all fully capable of is better than what we've been producing. But then equally, like personally not being happy with my own performances, but then being the captain, wanting to or needing to be across how everyone else is going as well. So it's I find it a tricky balance at times, and it's always easier, I guess, when you're winning because it kind of masks a lot of things. But I think like there's still plenty of belief in the group, but it's kind of trying to make sure that you keep instilling extra belief as and wherever you can find it. And like we know within that we haven't played how we've wanted to. So I think you'd probably find it even harder when you're playing really well and you're still losing and you're kind of searching for answers. But yeah, like we know that we're not too far off. It's just kind of wanting to put it all together. Yeah,
it's so also sorry to just jump straight into sport, because this is obviously a mental health and sport podcast, and it's so funny because this is we have like predominantly athletes come on the podcast, but most of the time we don't even end up talking about sport. So it's cool, and it is also really cool to obviously be here where you guys train. For those who are listening to the podcast and not watching it, we're here at your training facility where you guys train. And it's cool because cricket is such a new sport to me, right? Like I don't know the sport. My background is rugby league. But tell me a little bit about your background. Cricket was always was that always the sport, or did you play a variety of sports growing up?
Well, when I grew up, I played for any sport you could probably think of. Okay. So I grew up in Rockhampton, good old central Queensland.
Yeah, we love Rocky.
Hot up there, but grew up there, youngest of 3 girls in my family, and played every sport you possibly think of. But then there was something about cricket, it just kept drawing me to it. I was good at it, I found it really challenging, and I've always been somebody that's really enjoyed being challenged. It kind of, my parents were always really supportive of anything I was doing. They loved us being active. Like I did a lot of swimming when I was younger. I played golf, touch football, soccer, like you name it. It was just like cricket. I think that team sports always, for me, were where I wanted to be. Individual sports were okay. I didn't mind them. I was good at them, but I always wanted to be part of a team and part of something. And I have like some very, very fond memories of growing up up in Rocky with countless hours in cricket nets with my dad. And I owe a lot of people up there for the success that I've had.
I always wonder, especially with people who go down the whole process of playing professional sport, because typically, especially females, like when they get to a certain age, the dropout rate can be really high. And I always wonder why people stay in one sport specifically. And typically I've seen kind of the 2 variations, like one had a lot of success, and obviously we love having success and that's happy, and then we go down the track. But then there's the other side of it where people really struggle. They don't get in the representative teams, but they work so hard, and then they have those success stories. It sounds like you had the success and then went to carry on?
Yeah, I think for me it was kind of like I did work really hard, but equally I think I had a bit of luck along the way, in the sense that at the right times the right person was there that saw something in me.
Give me an example.
So, I even look right back to the start when I was at our local cricket nets at the university up in Rocky with my dad, and I'd wanted to play for my school. We'd had to jump through a lot of hurdles, a lot of hoops for that even to happen, because I was this young 12-year-old girl or 10-year-old girl at a Catholic school, and no girl had ever played cricket before. And
wow. So a bit of pushback?
Yeah, a lot of pushback. So I think my parents had to write letters to Catholic Education to get approval for me to play and to play in our school team. And eventually they came back and said yes, I could, but I had to wear the same outfit that the boys did. I wasn't able to wear my skirt, and I was like, well, yeah, duh.
Yeah.
Of course I'm gonna be in whites. I'm gonna be in long pants. What do you mean? Thinking that was actually a big deal. There was going to be like, oh no, I can't wear my skirt. I don't want to play anymore. But yeah, it was like going through that and having the teachers who wanted me to play, having like a lot of the boys that wanted me in their team, and that was just one example. I had the similar thing in high school where I think I was in grade 7, and the principal of the high school I was going to the following year came to our school and was like, oh, these are all the things that our school offers, both academically and sport, and we'd have a cricket team. And he singled me out and said, sorry, Jess, that means like it's only a boys' cricket team, you won't be able to play. Like singled me out in front of the whole grade and all of this. And I was just like, oh, well, that kind of sucks. But at the same time, at that point, I was playing club cricket, which it takes me back to when I was at the university nets with my dad getting ready for my school comp. There was this man and his 2 boys in the net next to us, preparing for same thing for their school. And him and Dad got talking, and he saw that I was pretty talented, and he happened to be the coach of one of the club teams there in Rocky, and said they had a sign-on kind of later that week that should come down and sign up. And we did, and he's still avidly following me and supporting me, and his name is Scott Deeth. So I owe a lot to him, and he's basically like a proud dad for me as well.
It's really beautiful, like looking back and reflecting on the whole journey, and you look back at those certain people who had a really profound influence on your life, whether it's a parent, another coach, or even just like a role model in the space. And I think it's cool because you've gone through the whole process, and now I imagine you're probably like that for a lot of the younger girls coming through, which is pretty cool, right?
Yeah, well, it's like I just look back, like my dad and Scott were probably the 2 biggest influences on my early parts of my cricket journey, I guess. Like Dad, countless hours in the nets, like middle of the day, middle of summer, never complaining, always just wanting to. I'd always described him as my fiercest supporter but my harshest critic. Yeah. It was sort of post every game there would always be a message from him about how you could improve, or what was this decision or whatnot. And then Scott, he did research into the women's game when I think I was 14, and I was a little medium pace bowler, and he was like, oh, there's only a certain amount of left arm finger spinners in the women's game. Like if you want to go further, potentially this could be a route you go. And so I gave it a try, and then the next year I'm out here representing my state as a finger spinner who could bat sort of as well. So it's like small moments like that that actually have had significant impact. But yeah, he's sort of, we joke about it because I was up in Rocky about a month ago at my club's 50th year reunion, and we were reminiscing about how I'm pretty good off my legs now, but back then he used to just throw ball after ball at my legs, and I'd get bruised after bruise.
You learned the hard way.
Yeah, it's sort of like, but I never backed down.
Yeah.
And to have people like him and Dad that just never complained about anything, put so much work into it, but then equally knew that I wanted to do the work as well. But to have that support to allow me to do that, it was really special.
We were talking about balance, like the balance between being able to push when you need to and the ability to be able to step back. And I really love that, because I think when we're in an experience and when we're actually doing something hands-on, that's where we get our best learning. And it seems like you've gone through such an incredible process of, being amateur, being semi-professional, now being professional. You've had all those learnings along the way. How do you think that'll differ between the next generation coming through, where it's a lot more advanced? It's not where we want it to be, but it is a lot more advanced to what you went through.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. It's a tough one because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? And it's I feel like it's almost not only, the responsibility doesn't only solely rest on my shoulders, but I guess my generation of players to keep educating the current crop around where the game has come from and different things in that, to be okay, these are the things that are still going to be important moving forward, that I guess it's things that I'm passionate about, in the sense is balance in your life, between cricket or your sport and things away from the game, whether it's a friendship group, whether it's study, whether it's work, volunteering, whatever that looks like, is going to be different for everybody, but it's knowing that there is a balance that still needs to occur, and that is different for everybody. Doesn't necessarily have to be 50-50, but having at least something away from the game. Because obviously when things are going well, you think, oh yeah, everything's great, best life ever, I don't really need to worry. But then as soon as poor performance or significant injury or whatnot, and then it's okay, well, what do I have when some aspect of my life gets taken away? And it's stems into the whole identity piece and stuff as well, that who am I away from what I do? Yeah,
I look at athlete well-being from a male perspective, and then also the female space. Being in the rugby league space, I look at the guys, right, and they're full-time, they get paid an incredible amount of money, but a lot of the times they fall into the trap of potentially not studying, potentially getting into it young, getting a heap of cash at a young age, and when they retire and when they finish up, they actually struggle finding that employment piece, finding that purpose piece, and likewise the balance piece when they're actually in it. Alternative to the female space, where a lot of the girls are working part-time, not all of them are full-time yet, but they have the ability to be able to work, find out what they want to do potentially. But then also, obviously it's changing and we want to get them to a point where it can be all full-time. But I find that the girls, they transition a lot better. They have probably a bit better overall well-being when it comes to that specific identity space. Do you see that?
Yeah, I think it's well, we haven't really had a choice kind of thing, that it's well, your sport has almost been, I guess it's transitioned from being a hobby to then for some being their job, or their main source of income and financial benefit. I've seen over the years so many talented female cricketers that have probably retired way too soon, but purely for financial reasons, or starting a family, or different things like that. Whereas now it's with extra investment into the game, that it's keeping players in the game longer. So there's one less stress to have to consider there. But female athletes haven't necessarily had the choice to be full-time athletes, because financially you couldn't. So yeah, it's I think that's probably going to be one of my biggest worries, I guess, for the current generation coming through, is that everything is going to just revolve around your sport. And yes, we have a lot of resourcing, and we have player development managers and people to help with career, I guess, if you have aspirations away from the game or study, apprenticeships, whatever it is. But it's still, I think overall people want to be well, if this sport is full-time and I'm a professional, I just want to go all in. Because particularly in Australia, there's such good depth around the place, that it's people want to be in that Australian team. And it's well, okay, if I'm not focusing 100% of my attention on this, whereas somebody else does, then I'm going to be left behind. So it's there is going to be a tricky balance that people are going to have to find. And I mean, I'm fortunate that I did come through in a space where I could dedicate a lot of all my time to cricket, but equally study, and I didn't necessarily have to work too much away from the game, because I was my wife calls me a tight ass,
Yeah.
but I was a really good and savvy saver
Yeah.
as well. So it's like I had my first contract when I was still at school. Mind you, it was $1,500 for 12 months, and I thought it was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
So I was still living at home, and I was like able to save money, and I was still living off bank of mum and dad. But then, when I finished school, I moved away from home straight away. I moved down to Brisbane, and like I was self-sufficient. I was independent. I paid my own way. Took a while for me to cut the cord with, I guess, with mum with finances and getting her kind of off contracts with like phone bills
Phone plans.
or whatever.
Like, Mum, don't cut me off, please. Let me stay on the phone plan.
But it was like, I get a message from mum. It's like, have you changed the password for your banking? I was like, yeah, and I've opened a new account. And it was like, oh, okay.
Gotcha.
But it's like, but I wanted to be independent. I wanted to do my own thing and pay my own way. So it was just like, I don't know how I got onto that. It was a bit of a tangent, but it's just going to be really interesting.
No, I love that space. Do you think it's wise, because you've studied a Bachelor of Law, you've done forensic mental health, which I think is a diploma of forensic mental health, which I think is really cool. Do you think that is helpful, like having that balance between you've got your core focus of cricket, but then you've also got this thing to the side adjacent, which you're obviously super passionate about and work in the background. Do you think they complement each other for you personally? Yeah,
without a doubt. I think for me, during that phase when I was studying as well as playing, I probably was playing some of my best cricket, and probably my overall well-being was in the most consistent spot it had probably ever been, because it was almost like each was an escape from the other.
Gotcha.
That when it was stressful around assignments or exam time or anything like that, I was able to then come to training and be like, oh, this is so good, I get to run around.
Yeah.
The consequences of that training, I just had to hit a ball, catch a ball, bowl a ball, whatever it was. And yes, there was the performance piece when there was games and stuff, but it was like knowing that that wasn't the only thing in my life. And then equally if I'd just got a duck on the weekend or whatnot, and I had to park it pretty quick, so I'm like, I got an assignment due in 2 days. Or I have 100 pages of reading that I got to do for this week's work, for this week's tutorial. So I really enjoyed that, and I think like some of my teammates used to joke that I'd have as many degrees or pieces of paper as years on my career. And I thought, okay, well, is this getting a bit out of hand? Is there a time where I'm like, okay, I need to stop being the studier? But I enjoy the learning aspect. I enjoy, I guess, learning about things I don't actually know everything about. And it was just like my dad and my oldest sister were business and legal teachers, but I was never like pushed into any of it. It was just sort of something that I was like, I didn't really know what I wanted to do at uni when I finished playing, but mum and dad particularly were always big on knowing I had to move to Brisbane to further my cricket, but you needed to have something else as well.
Sure.
And that was always a big part of my upbringing, was having that balance. And learning the time management between the two, and how to actually, I've never been somebody that puts half an effort into something, so I would give 100% of what I had across both. And knowing that at different times throughout the year, I could have put more time into one than the other if assignments weren't up, or if it was a subject that came really naturally to me. I didn't necessarily need to put in as much effort to get the results I desired. And I owe a lot to my parents for instilling that in me. And it's something I think that has helped me like across my entire life, not just my cricket career. Yeah, look, zoning in on your cricket career, what do you think were some of the biggest things that you embedded in your routine or your process? Like, what were the little things that you think helped you get to where you are today with being captain of the Heat and doing all the accolades that you've accomplished? Yeah, I think like I've always been quite analytical. And I've liked numbers, I've liked the data, I like to see the process of things, like why things happen, and a lot of that's kind of like, okay, well, like a lot of planning sessions and stuff, that it's kind of, okay, well, this is the evidence, speaking in legal terms, like these are the facts, this is the evidence.
You're such an analytical thinker,
this is how I'm putting it together.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, okay, well, my objective is to try and either minimise the runs or take the wickets or score the runs with the bat. These are the people or the situations I'm likely to be in. This is how I'm going to try and best navigate it. And it's kind of, like I've always felt like if I'm the best prepared or best planned, then there's very little that happens out in the field that can surprise me.
Right.
And it's sort of then being able to trust in your preparation. So for me, that was one big thing, that it's like, well, okay, people obviously, there's patterns of behaviour or patterns in things, and it's kind of trying to recognise that and then how you can best combat that. And ultimately, if I can be the best prepared and planned out on the field, then I can stay as calm and composed within those high pressure moments because I've planned for it.
Does that flow into personal life as well?
A little bit, yeah. It's kind of, sometimes it's like I need to relinquish a little bit of control, which like I wouldn't describe myself as a control freak, but I do like having I do like structure. I do like knowing what's coming or what's going to happen. I don't necessarily deal too well with changes in things, and it's like sometimes I think it's like both my wife and my psychologist have kind of told me, it's like you just need to kind of try and just let go a little bit. And it's like, but I can't.
I can't. What do you mean? I need
trying.
But that's I think a common thing, right? When people talk about having routine and having processes, having these little superstitions that they have to do before every single game, before every single event. But then when something falls out, or we don't have the right pair of underwear that we need to play in, or if we don't have the right cereal, or if something falls out, we can become rattled. Do you have flexibility in that as well?
I do. The older I've gotten, the more I've realised that it's like, it doesn't matter what underwear I have on, doesn't matter whether it's like this pair of socks that I have on, or whether I put my left pad or my right pad on first. It's like, it's not about the clothes that I wear. It's about like actually executing in the moment. But I used to be one of those people that I would wear, I mean, I still do. So I can't say I used to be one of those people, but I'm a lot less rigid. I'm a lot less rigid in it. So I'd wear like the exact same clothes, like socks, underwear, bra, whatever it is, that if we won in that game, whether I played well or not, if we won, I would keep it. Like I'd obviously wash it in between, but I'd put the exact same stuff on for the next game until we lost or something happened. Then I'd be like, no, it's that fault.
Sure.
But then equally, like if we're away and don't have access to a washing machine or whatever in between games, or there's a tight turnaround, it's like, okay, if it's out of my control, I'll just change and it's okay, which just seems like really counterintuitive, but it's kind of, I used to be so rigid with that. It's like, oh, where's my blue underwear? Where's this? Or whatever. It's like, or if we're coming up against a team that, say it's the Scorchers and I had an orange bra or something, it's like, I'm not wearing that kind of thing. Or, but it's kind of like, I wear a pair of ladybug socks like every time now that I play, kind of since my dad passed. It's kind of how our family kind of remembers him in a way. And it's like, I think I've got about 4 or 5 pairs of those. And obviously we've started with 3 losses this season so far with WBBL, so I'm like, come on, Dad, I'm on my last pair. Can't kind of filter back through them, but so it's like kind of still little things like that.
Tell me a little bit about your dad. What was he like?
Oh, he was very analytical as well. I always say to my mum, I think, and my wife, I'm like, I'm my father's daughter in many ways. I kind of don't historically like talk about feelings too much, or as much as I probably need to until it kind of gets too much, if that makes sense. So it's like I'm an open book in many ways, but then equally like to kind of try and navigate and try and work things out for myself. He was always quite stubborn in that respect, but he was the most caring and down to earth. And I think for him, he had his own sort of rough upbringing in a way, and he kind of thought that like he was never the biggest hugger or shower of affection, but we always said to him like he didn't need to. We just knew. Like we knew he loved us through, obviously for me, like the amount of hours that he put in for me, like with sport, and the way he never sort of pressured us into anything, that he was so supportive of whatever we did as long as we were happy and healthy sort of doing it. And it's kind of obviously miss him a lot, but kind of thankful in a way that I was able to see, like we unfortunately lost him to cancer a few years ago, but like to see how much he fought to be with us and around us during that time was, it's kind of, he's my dad. He was strong, he was stoic, and everyone seemed to love him. Nobody really had a bad word to sort of say about him, which was really special.
I think it's probably like our worst nightmare, like losing a parent, right? Same for a parent losing a child. How do you go navigating that time? Obviously, when you've got so much going on with, with work, especially like your sport, how do you go navigating that when it is something so hard and something that's so close, but then having to show up in a professional sense? Yeah,
I think it's one of those ones like cricket was like our thing in a way. So it was kind of knowing how important he was or has been in my cricket journey, and it's just all the memories that I've had with him around that. It's actually made it easier to like still play or to go out. And I remember sort of when he passed away, I think even within the week after his funeral, I was back here playing again, because in my heart I was like, it's what he would have wanted. And he was always someone who was like, oh, I don't want a funeral, I don't want this, just throw my ashes out into the ocean. And like, he was so understated, but he eventually came around because we were like, Dad, you've had such a massive impact in so many people's lives, like let them like actually experience that. And so we ended up being able to have a funeral and everything with him as well. But to come down here and play and it was really hard. And it's kind of, I think because I'm always still now, it's like 4 years later, like still waiting for those messages after a game, knowing when I've made a stupid decision out on the field and got out that it's like, I know what he would say, but it's like just wanting that again. And it's sort of, I searched for that a little bit in kind of my middle sister Laura. She's very similar to him as well in the sense like just really level-headed around things. And I know Mum's tried a few times sending her own little message after, but it's just not the same. But I think like my two sisters and I, we all have a ladybug tattoo. I wear my ladybug socks so I can still feel connected to him, knowing that like he's always out on the field with me regardless. And even my 10-year-old nephew, he wears ladybug socks now.
That's so nice.
And it's like, we don't know whether it's like he does it because of his dada or whether he does it because his auntie does or whatever, but it's like, it's just a way for us to kind of stay connected and that his memory kind of still lives on.
What's the relevance with the ladybug?
Well, he used to, in a lot of his messages, would just send random emojis and hundreds of them, and some of them would not make sense. Others he'd be like, he'd just say the word cricket and he'd either put a cricket or he'd put a cricket bat and ball, and it's like, Dad, you didn't need to, I knew what you were talking about. But at the end of messages, he'd always put so many emojis, and without fail, there'd always be a ladybug in there. And it was when he was in hospital just before he passed, and my sister asked him, like, why, do you always put ladybugs in there? And he said, I just thought they were the most beautiful creature and the most fascinating. Like, I just really loved them. And kind of since that moment, I sort of, I had the idea, we should get, ladybug tattoos or something and remember him. And at the time that he passed, my sister Laura was pregnant. I was just about to go away on tour over to New Zealand, and So we both couldn't really get a tattoo straight away, but then my older sister, as soon as I mentioned it, she just went and got it.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, okay, cool, didn't want to wait.
I thought we were doing it together. Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of like, eventually my other sister and I, when after she'd had a baby and everything, we've we since got them, and it was kind of our way of still being like a part of Dad is with us. And it's so crazy, like there's been so many random moments where a ladybug has just appeared.
Give me an example.
So over in New Zealand, the 50 over World Cup final, throughout our batting innings, a ladybug was there and it just landed and it was just on my shirt.
Got goosebumps.
When my wife and I finally got married, we eloped over in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And we were getting our photos taken, and she was behind me and she's like, I was about to brush something off. And turns out it was a ladybug.
Wow. When you guys got married? Oh, eloped.
Yeah, we eloped over in Hawaii.
Whoa, that's so awesome.
Because we were meant to get married and then in 2020, and then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And then obviously Dad passing away and a few different things, so it was on the back burner. So it was, like 3 years later, and we finally ended up getting married. And then, of all places, of all times, and we told our photographer at the time, and he like basically started crying and was saying, obviously, that there's obviously belief that your ancestors and all of this, and even different moments when I've been just randomly thinking of him, and then I did a running session out here like earlier in the year, and then I just looked down because I was hurting, I was in pain, and then there was one and I was like, it's just and every time we see one we're just like, oh, Dad's here he is. And
do you believe in that stuff? Do you think that's
I do
dad?
now.
Yeah.
Because there's so many moments. Like my mum and my nephew, they share the same birth date, and all of our family were just up in mum and Dad's house, and just out of nowhere on a wall, like my wife looked, she's like, is that no, it can't be. And it was a ladybug, like in the house when the whole family was there, and it was like, he didn't want to miss out.
Wow.
It's just even times of year that I'm like, I didn't even think that ladybugs, like this was their season or whatnot, and then one will appear.
That's a pretty cool thing. I heard about the ladybug, but just like listening the way it just pops up. He pops up in life, and it's also a really beautiful reminder. We've had a few conversations on this podcast, but then also with friends about like losing friends, losing loved ones, losing children, and it can be hard to talk about. Like I know, and that's why I'm grateful for you coming on and having this conversation. But it can be hard to talk about. But I also think it's beautiful to talk about it because it keeps their memory alive. And then you hear or you see the ladybug in like these really beautiful situations. It's kind of like confirming that, and it keeps it bringing it alive.
Yeah, I think like that's something that our family, particularly, it's like, we want to talk about him. We do miss him, and it's like, I feel like, it has been really healthy for us, but at the same time, it's like, it doesn't mean that we've finished grieving kind of thing. And I think that's been my biggest learning as well, that like, I'm still grieving in a way, and it's kind of, there's some days are obviously easier than others, but knowing and having empathy for yourself, that it's like you're allowed to have a hard day however many years down the track. Like you don't need to be, I guess, like over it in inverted commas, like straight away or within a certain space of time. That it's kind of, yes, I've spoken about him, I've spoken with family, with my wife, with professional help, but it still doesn't make it easy or still doesn't make it go away kind of thing. You just kind of learn to live with that this is your new normal now, and unfortunately it is a part of life, but it kind of, just I guess makes you, reaffirms like your own mortality, and to try and make the most of and have as great of an impact on those around you as you possibly can with the time that you have. Yeah,
I was going to ask, I was like, does it get easier?
I think times, yes, but I think like for me, I feel guilty still sometimes when I'm like, oh, I do still miss him, but then on days when it's like, oh, I haven't thought about him. But then knowing him, he'd be like, don't think about me.
Yeah.
Like, live your life, go on, crack on.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I think because obviously like going through my own sort of personal and professional challenges now, like with losing Aussie contracts and whether it's poor performance or changes in my own life, that it's like the one person I want either reassurance from or I want to have that conversation with or that discussion with is the one person I can't. Even though I kind of know what he would probably say or whatnot, but it's like you just want to hear their voice again, and you just want to, I don't know, have that physical touch, like that hug, like a dad hug again. Yeah, and it's like, it's emotional.
It's hard. It's hard when there's someone like that's so close to you, and you've obviously had like so many beautiful memories, but you've got that thing where you just want to talk to them, and it's hard, I imagine.
Yeah, it's like I just want to have an adult conversation with him.
Yeah. Well, I think he would be super proud over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I know he would be.
Yeah. You said that there has been some like positive impact, like that you start thinking about your own mortality. How does that show up in your day-to-day with your partner and with your family and with your friends now?
Yeah, well, I think it's like, I mean, it's still a learning, it's still an ongoing thing that, but yeah, it's kind of just like trying to actually enjoy what I'm doing. And yeah, trying to be as present as I can in that space. And like, it is still really hard because it's so easy with, I guess, feeling like you're a good person and you have horrible things like that happen. You're sort of like, oh, why us? Like, why him? Why me? All of that kind of thing. But then it's kind of like, well, it happens. Like, not dismissing it, but it's kind of like, it's so easy to go into that victim mentality and kind of bury your head in the sand and hate the world.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of feel like that's the easy option, and it's kind of, I think I keep kind of reverting back to, he wouldn't want me or he wouldn't want us to be that way.
Yeah.
And I think like that does help in a way, but I think it's kind of knowing that, yeah, I just want to try and have a positive impact in whatever environment I'm in, whether in whatever capacity, like whether that's obviously sharing my own experiences with people or showing vulnerability.
Yeah.
That I've said to a few people over the years that being vulnerable is the strongest you'll ever be.
Why?
Because I feel like there's the stigma around like feelings and showing that and crying or having emotion, and I think particularly being an athlete or even a female athlete as well, it's like, oh, you're crying, you're weak.
Yeah.
And it's so untrue.
Yeah.
That it's sort of being able to be vulnerable and show human traits, like everyone feels, everyone thinks, everyone has emotions, and it's like for so long in different aspects, and like I can only imagine for men that it's like it's drilled into you early on that it's like, no, men don't cry or whatever, or it's like even, yeah, women, it's kind of like, oh, yeah, women always cry, or you break your nail and you cry, but it's like, it's just, that stuff irritates me and infuriates me, because it's like, you're a human being at the core, and at the end of the day, it's like, if you feel sad, you are allowed to cry.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need permission to feel.
You don't need justification.
No.
You don't need to justify yourself to anyone on why you can be sad. And to be honest, I love that, what you just said. That vulnerability piece, I think, is a huge superpower. It allows us to be in tune with who we really are as people, but it also allows us to connect. Even when you do, like, you do team sessions and you might do like a vulnerability session, how much tighter is the group after that? I remember hearing one of my friends, he played in another professional team. They would do this thing called like the highlight, hero and hardship, the triple H. Have you heard of that? It's just like
no, I've heard highlight, low light kind of stuff.
Same sort of thing, but essentially like every Monday, like someone would get up in front of the group, or a couple guys would get up in front of the group and they share the highlights, something like that they love, like that's happened to them in their life. A hero, so someone they'd look up to, whether it's a role model, a parent, a friend, whoever, but then also a hardship, the triple H, a hardship, so a really tough thing that they've gone through, and usually these are very vulnerable type setups, a lot of the time, and it's obviously, I should state that it is an incredibly safe space, like in that time. I think the space is very important. But they talk about it, they can be vulnerable, and what my mate said it actually is beautiful because it allows us to connect to that person, and you know what? It actually brings us stronger together, and like if you want to look at it from a sporting point of view, obviously have more success off the back of that because they're more connected. But I love that piece. I love the fact that you're open to having these types of conversations, because typically a lot of us athletes, like we can just be, oh no, I'll just pass it off and move on.
Yeah. And to be fair, it's like I speak about it, but nowhere near enough kind of thing, or as much as I probably should or need to. And it's like, it's still an ongoing learning for me as well, because it's sort of, I mean, grew up in the country essentially, in a family with traditional values, and I happen to be openly gay as well, so that has been navigating through that as well. So it's like there's been so many different things that has been instilled in me that is kind of still trying to break down. And then even within my own personality, being someone that, I'm so driven, I'm so committed to what I'm doing, and wanting to kind of that whole idea of not wanting to burden people, but equally wanting to try and figure things out for myself before asking for help. Yeah. And quite often it gets to the point where it's like I bury myself so deep that it's like by the time I ask for help, I'm already gone, kind of thing, as opposed to not necessarily waiting until things go wrong to kind of reach out to people or to talk about things a lot more. And it's kind of, waiting until I'm, I guess, prompted to be like, I'll speak about that. Yeah. But equally, it's like I've never wanted to be someone that just like puts everything on people, or it's like, oh, here's my story. Like I don't necessarily like, talking about myself or things that have gone on unless I know people want to hear about it.
If you could go back to 12-year-old Jess, what advice would you give her?
Just to keep speaking up, keep being vulnerable, and to, not wait to ask for help. But like I am, and I know that I have been quite stubborn, but it's just, you don't know it all. Yeah,
it's so interesting because like we hear this. We hear how important it is to speak up and have these conversations, but sometimes it's like you almost need to go through the experience of, and I hope that people don't have to. I hope that they can hear it from people that they look up to, like yourself and other people in their circles around, okay, well, I'm just going to take that on board. I don't actually have to go through the experience of suppressing it. Well, something bad happens, trigger event, and then you lose it, right? Like I really hope that people don't have to go through that, because it's awful, right? It's awful, the feeling of having to suppress something for so long, and then once you talk about it, you're like, I don't know why I was feeling so crazy about that, right?
And I think for me too, it's kind of like I suppress so much that then I don't even know what I need to speak about to actually relieve that. It's like, I've like described myself as kind of being like a pot on the stove, on the boil. Yeah. And it's just bubbling away. And then you know how occasionally if you've overfilled it and it just goes over and then like sizzles onto the hot plate, that it's like, that's how I've felt for so long. That it's like, I think I've felt like I've needed to be a certain way. And then I think particularly when taking over the captaincy as well, that it's kind of like, okay, I have this added responsibility to everybody else, and it's always give. but then never actually giving time for me
Yeah.
and for what my needs are, because I'm always so concerned with making sure everybody else is okay. And then by the time I get back home, for example, it's like I'm then so depleted, but then it's like, well, my wife actually needs me.
Yeah.
But then not having anything to give, and then you're constantly feeling like you're running on empty because you haven't actually taken that time and that care for yourself to prioritise that.
What's the learning that comes out of that?
Well, to do it.
But in terms of, because you like you said, mentioned, you're giving so much. Like you're emptying your cup to fill up your teammates, to fill up people, because they're your captain. Like that's a part of the responsibility. How do you go when you go home?
Well, it's actually been another thing, like a big learning that it's like, well, okay, that relinquishing control piece, that it's like, yes, I'm captain, yes, I'm a leader, but I'm not the only leader. So I think for me, it's about, particularly in the last few years, it's been asking for help from other people within the team or within the environment to be like, this is what I need from you to help take the load off me. And then as a result, trying to upskill other people with in their own space, in their own identities, in their own, I guess, leadership qualities and traits and what they can bring.
Yeah.
So then it's not all resting solely on my shoulders, and I guess understanding, okay, well, what are my priorities? And obviously that's changed over the years, that it's like being in a long-term committed relationship, which I wasn't when I first started playing, being much older and having different things that are needing more importance in my life than, say, socialising with team, extra time after training. It's like, no, as soon as I finish training, I want to get home. I want to get home to my wife and my dogs, or my kids.
Your kids, little doggy kids.
So it's kind of like, I guess, for me, it's just making sure I've prioritised the things in the appropriate order. And communicating that as well. And I'm very fortunate that my wife Sarah has been so understanding, and unfortunately she's had to be taken a back step at times, which she's taken really well, and I think it's been unfair on her. But then for me, knowing that it's like, okay, I can't be so selfish, and understanding like her needs as well, and what she needs from me, that it's like, okay, now that I've been able to delegate a lot better in this space, I can give more of me there, because it's what I've always wanted to do.
It's crazy, like how important it is having a supportive partner. Like how incredibly important it is, not only for your professional career, but just for your overall well-being. What you're saying there, I subscribe to so much. I feel like I get in this little state of like, oh, I want to do this training session, or do this event that's coming up, and then we've got the podcast and we want to do this, but we also have to do this little thing, and you can get all self-absorbing, and then I've got my partner off to the side who is the most incredibly supportive person, but then sometimes I catch myself and I'm like, well, get out of your own head. What are you doing to support her? Because she's got her own dreams and her own ambitions, but she's willing to take a step aside whilst you know what I mean. It's a tricky place to navigate.
Absolutely. I mean, and Sarah's done it for basically my whole international career. I debuted in 2012 in the Feb, and we met in the June, July. So she's been with me this whole step of the way, and has constantly been taking the back burner. But it's kind of over the last five or 6 years, we've been so much better in the sense that an understanding on each other's perspectives and roles within different things as well, and understanding and appreciating what the other does. That it's like I'm at training all day, and then I come home, but then it's like she's either cooked dinner or the tidying up's been done, and things that I've just over the years just took for granted because they just happened. And then equally she has that understanding that, okay, well, the things that I do when I am here, it's like, oh, yep, the lawn gets mowed, or take the dogs out for the walk, or get them sorted for bed, or whatever, that it's just little things that she didn't have to think about. So it's like having that greater appreciation of the little things that we do. I found has really helped as well. And that understanding that if I've come back from, say, a month franchise gig away, that it's like she always gives me at least a day or two when I come back home to actually reconnect in with what the routine is, because we've both been on our separate routines. So it's like, okay, I need to fit back into what she's been doing, and then equally she has that empathy, I guess, for me, that it's like, okay, it will take a little bit, but then having that understanding to be like, okay, no longer than this. If it is, I have permission to be like, pull your head in, help out, do this, but then knowing that it's like, okay, I'm not taking her for a ride. It's like, it does take a bit to readjust and come back into, I guess, like everyday life again.
Is that communicated like pretty openly?
It is, and like early days it wasn't. It just, like, Sarah just did it. And I took that for granted, and I didn't like intentionally, but it was just like, because I'd only just have to worry about myself in this space, or what I needed to do, where I needed to be, this training, that training, and not even considering like, oh, Sarah had appointments as well, and she changed things because I couldn't, or I didn't even ask whether I could change a training session or whatever it was. So yeah, it's kind of, I'm glad it got to the space it did, but yeah, it's kind of equally frustrating that it took us so long. Hey, we've all been there. We've all been there, I guess. Hey, I'd love to talk about resilience. You're obviously the most capped WBBL and BBL player at the Brisbane Heat. How do you stay in something for so long? You've been a professional player for 13, 15 years. How do you stay involved and, I guess, like, have the love for the game for so long? Because we were mentioning it early this morning at coffee. It's like, we see so many players who have been in the sport for so long. We see a lot of people who drop off, whether that's due to burnout, due to injury, due to just falling out of love with it. How is it that you've had the ability to be able to stay in this sport for so long? Sometimes I don't know.
I was like, what's the secret? What's the secret recipe?
Yeah, I think like there's been so many different moments where it's like, I think I'm someone, I just don't like giving up. And I think like when it does come time for me to fully, I guess, retire from playing, that's not going to be easy. I reckon I'm going to be one of those people that is going to need the tap on the shoulder to be like, hey, enough's enough. Because I just don't think I could walk away. I've had many times and many moments, and to be honest, probably like still within it now, where it's like mentally challenging moments around like, why am I still doing this? But then there's always something within me that it's like, yes, it's all I've ever known, is something that keeps popping up, which isn't 100% true, because I know I've done things away from the game, and I know I am things away from being a cricketer. But it's been such a massive part of my life that it's like, I don't know anything else. I still love it, even though I hate it as well. I think knowing that I've been through the different eras within it, the different phases of the game, that it's like, I want to keep being a part of it. I want to keep helping, I guess, the next generation coming through. I want to give back. That's still a big part of it as well. And equally knowing it's like, I am still good enough. That, there is still things like I do want to keep improving on. I do want to get better at say, this ball or this shot. And sometimes, whether it's realistic or not, sometimes I've set myself up to fail. And it sucks, and I don't like that part about me, but it's kind of, if someone tells me to do something or they want me to achieve something, it's like, okay, I'll do it, even though I know I'm going to break down in the process, and I have in the past. But it's like, there is still, I think it's something ingrained in my personality that it's just like, I'm not a quitter. I'm not someone that walks away from things whether I should or not.
It's like it would be easy to ride the wave when everything is going well, and it's all smooth sailing and it's all positives. But the ability to be able to still work through it when it gets hard. You mentioned losing your national contract. How difficult was that? And how do you navigate that?
Yeah, it was very difficult, and to be honest, I'm probably still going through it. I think I basically nosedived into a pretty deep depression, and it's still stuff I'm dealing with and coming to terms with now, that it's like, I know the narrative that I want, I guess, to come from it, but then it's still like deep down inherently when I'm like, no, I can still contribute.
Yeah.
I can still do things. I know I can, but knowing that it's kind of like, that ship's kind of sailed.
Yeah.
There's still this constant battle, but I'm definitely much more comfortable with where things are at with it. It's kind of, so I think for, I guess all last season, I found myself out of touring teams. I was still contracted. I still felt like I was playing well. I got a equal T20 Player of the Year for the entire competition. So I was like, I was still playing well, but the feedback I was getting from selectors was obviously that my performances weren't exactly slamming the door down. I was like, oh, shit, what else do you want me to do?
Yeah.
But equally knowing I've always been someone I can see both sides of a story, or both sides of, I guess, other people's perspectives, and I was like, I can see where you're coming from, but equally it doesn't match up with what I'm feeling, but I get it. I wish I didn't. Like, I wish I was just someone that was really dumb, and or someone that didn't care about that, or that just could just play and whatever was happening was happening.
Yeah.
So I think, it took a bit for me to come to terms with that, and I guess fell into a few, I guess, patterns of behaviour that I wasn't necessarily comfortable with. I kind of was losing myself.
What was that? What were those patterns?
I kind of turned towards alcohol a little bit, and kind of different, I guess, outlets that weren't necessarily positive or productive with, I guess, coping strategies. And I think as soon as I kind of started really, I guess, taking a good hard look at myself with that, I was like, okay, I have an issue here. I need to address this, because this isn't the path I want to go down. And I've sought professional help, and through the other side of that side of things and that space, and have had some really good coping strategies and some good open communication with my wife at home, and around things like, okay, putting boundaries in place with that. And I sort of have a significantly more positive relationship with alcohol in that space, but then equally still having that feeling of I still need this other outlet, and not really knowing what it looks like. And like that's still a work in progress. Like, there's obviously, speaking is a really big part of it, but knowing that, okay, well, I know doing something physical is a big one. I know that just simply going for a walk, and whether that's putting a podcast in or music or literally nothing, just taking in what's around me and just walking. I knew that has been a big thing, is just getting out. Being outdoors is a big one for me. Something that's not training related, or I need to reach something by a certain time, or run a certain speed, or reach this cone or whatever. It's like, just walk, and walk for half an hour. It doesn't matter how far you go. Walk for the time. Or sometimes it's like, no, I'll just walk this route. I'll put it on an app and be like, walk it however long it takes. So it's like been different things like that. And equally, when I take the field, it's kind of, for so long my performances have been riding on further selection. Whereas now it's like, okay, well, what am I playing for? Like, if it's not to represent my country. And this season I I've been doing some fundraising stuff with Invictus Australia, and that has sort of become my new, well, this is why I want to perform. And
what are you doing for that?
I'm donating sort of $15 per wicket I take and $5 per run I score for our domestic competitions, to go towards the work that they do with veterans and their families in the mental health space, and how they use sport to really help with that connection piece and that community and that sense of purpose. And obviously something that's really, really important. Sorry.
You're right. You get some water just below as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think about this a lot when like we go through like a really hard time, and it's hard when you're in it and you're in there, but then on reflection you can look back and it's like, well, there's actually some really great things and beautiful things that come out of it, right? You know, you're allowed to cough if you need to cough. Don't suppress the cough.
Don't suppress something else.
Don't suppress the cough. No, but that's what I mean. I was just like, and so you look at like the inner work that you've done, the ability that you can speak to a psychologist, the fact that you're like you have no idea how many people are listening to this and be like, wow, I'm actually like, feel like I'm sitting in your shoes, or I feel so validated because I'm going through something so similar. Even the stuff that you're doing with like the veterans and the mental health space, like that stuff is all off the back of a really shit thing. And while it can be a really shit thing, and I know you're still working through it, there is some really beautiful things that come out of it. Yeah,
and I think actually speaking about it, it's like starting's always the hardest step.
Yeah.
I feel, or I have personally found. It's like, okay, I know I need to talk. I know I've got these really strong feelings or thoughts or emotions, but it's like, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
And I know like journaling for me in the past has been a really good thing, because it's like, it doesn't need to make sense to anyone.
Yeah.
I just need to get it out, whatever it is. And then, like obviously like that professional help has been a big part. Is like they know the right questions to ask, or the right way to kind of help you, I guess, navigate through a lot of it, and I guess navigate through the noise. And my psychologist at the moment, like we speak in analogies a lot, and excuse me, and like that's been really helpful, because sometimes it's like, yes, things are so heavy, but it's like speaking about them in a bit more of a light-hearted way has kind of helped a little bit as well. It's like kind of speaking about how my thought processes are with navigating things. It's like when you go hiking, for example, and you got like, this is the track. So it's like, okay, well, this is my thought process is like, I'm in this situation, this is how I've always done it. Just keep going then. But then all of a sudden you see this one little track going off somewhere, and you're like, oh, I wonder where that leads. And then occasionally you start doing that, and then you think about a different way to think about something or to deal with something, and it's like, oh, this is actually, it ends up taking you to this beautiful scenic lookout as opposed to just through this dirt track, and it's like opening your eyes up to different ways, and it's like I find different things like that really resonate with me. It's
the beauty of being open-minded and being open to new experiences. If we're stuck doing the same old thing, then you're just going to get the same results, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're open to having conversations or journaling or going for a walk, I went for a walk this morning with my partner after a stressful couple of days, and it is wild like what that stuff can do, because our brains can get so cluttered with just stuff. And like we have tens of thousands of thoughts every single day, and majority of them aren't going to be great. That's just, and understanding that just because they're a bad thought doesn't make them real. It's not a real thought. They're just thoughts that come and go. Let them pass through, because that's how we want to be. We want to be present and we want to be clear. So having all those little tools that you've mentioned in the tool belt, where it's like, okay, time to play with the dog, or time to have a chat, or oh fuck, you know what, I should probably talk to my psych. It's probably a good time to do that. I think all of them are so beautiful. Yeah, and I think like I've found like even in between appointments that I've had, if I've had like even last week, like I had a really bad episode, I guess, and it's like I went straight to my notes section on my phone and I just wrote down everything I was thinking and feeling. Wow. Because it's kind of, and not one of those things was positive. Yeah. But I've been doing a lot of work around like, just because I'm thinking or feeling negatively doesn't necessarily mean that I can't find something positive, or
Even if I'm thinking positively inside or internally, it's like actually voicing that as well. That I got so deep down that it's like my new norm was negativity. And I was like, I always knew that like I'd been around negative people in the past. It's like, I don't want to be that person. Like you don't want to be the fun sponge, but equally understanding that it's like, it is okay to think and feel that way. But one of my psychs in the past was like, just because you feel a certain way doesn't mean you have to act a certain way. And I think for me, that was like a big part on like a lot of draining things for me, because I was suppressing it, thinking I'm not allowed to feel that way, or I'm not allowed to show that. But then actually voicing it and being like, I've labelled my psych now, it's like I've labelled my negative emotions whatever as Nancy. It's like you think, oh, don't be a negative Nancy, but I'm like, I'll say to my wife, it's like, oh, I'm just having a Nancy moment. And that has been so powerful and so good that it's like, okay, we have positive Polly and negative Nancy. And it's like, it seems so trivial, but it's like, it's so helpful.
Matt Rainshaw said the exact same thing. He detached from that person that he doesn't want to be, those negative thoughts, and it's kind of like he's like 12-year-old kid, right? Like, and I love that feeling. I love what
I'm ruining everything here.
No, don't worry. There's the mic. The fucking mic picks it up. It's beautiful. It's fine. Take what you need. If you need to take 5, that's also fine. We can. This will be
probably
edited.
telling me
This will be edited. We can edit all this stuff out, so don't stress at all. But I love that thing of being able to write them down, and I love what you said about like writing them in your notes, because something that my psych told me as well, especially when we begin to ruminate on certain topics, when we have that one thing that keeps showing up, like it's like an automatic negative thought. It calls it like ants, like there's like ants running around our brain. And so when we have these automatic negative thoughts, and then when that starts to show up constantly, we begin to ruminate on it, and then, you know, we can spiral down. But the ability to be able to write them down and recognize, like, is this actually a real thought? Like, is there any real legitimacy to this? Is like, tell me, like, and then you put your like front brain, like your conscious, like your who you want to be, I guess, like, and you look at that and you're like, that's not true. There's no evidence to support this. This is just like my little monkey brain or the little Nancy running riot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like sometimes it's like I need to put a leash on her.
Yeah.
Like Nancy's running wild, and it's kind of. I think since labelling those negative thoughts and emotions, and like you sort of said, like detaching from it, it kind of doesn't make them, I guess, as intense. That it's like, okay, this is where I'm at the moment, and that's okay. But I've done a lot of work on being like, okay, well, this is kind of some of the shit that's happened today. I need to unload because I need to get it out. But then equally acknowledging, okay, this is the 1 or 2 like good things as well, and it's kind of that gratitude piece as well. That it's kind of trying to practice that a little bit. And it's like, okay, well, this has been the crappy stuff that's happened today. This has been the stuff that's weighed me down. But what's one thing today that's made me smile? And actually voicing and vocalizing that as well. It's like, it could be I was at the traffic lights and there was a dog in the back seat and it made me smile. Because it looked like it was having the best time ever. Or it could be like, oh, it was at the shops and there was this baby that smiled at me. And I was like, oh, cute. Like, it's just, still acknowledging those little things as well.
What are you grateful for today? 3 things. 3 things you're grateful for.
3 things.
3 things you're grateful for today.
Well, my wife was a big one. She was helping navigate me through a tricky situation this morning at home. That we were able to talk through, and I didn't have to deal with it on my own. So that's been a nice one. We'll see, the sunshine's a big one. When I finish here, I'll be going home to mow my lawn, which is something I love.
You like doing that, nice.
Yep, so I'll be going and doing that. And I think like being able to sit by my pool after that. like obviously being outside, getting to just unwind. I'm going to say a fourth thing, not just because you're here and because I'm on here, but actually being vulnerable and speaking. Yeah, it's kind of something that I know I want to do more of and keep doing more of.
Yeah. Well, Jess, thank you so much for today. I'm grateful to have you on and just so grateful that you're able just to speak so openly and so vulnerably, that's a word, about your experiences, because I know it's hard. But I think the more we can have these types of conversations, the more that we can encourage other people to have these types of conversations, and encouraging conversation, I think, is one of the most beautiful things that we can do. And I think you're just setting the standard. You're such an incredible role model, not only for your teammates, but for everyone who's listening to this. So thank you so much for today.
No, thank you. I could talk all day with you.
Yeah,
So.
we could have very easily settled in here with another cup of coffee.
Absolutely, but no, it's my pleasure. And thanks for having me. This is awesome.